Hey there everybody, welcome back to more Enemy Zero. Let's have a little recap of what's going on so far in the story.
Voice record number 018, Laura Lewis. During the execution of a joint operation with Kimberly, Kimberly was attacked by the enemy on the emergency bridge. I immediately headed towards the area, but unfortunately lost sight of her. It has not been determined whether or not she is alive.
Oh yeah, a joint operation between Laura and Kimberly. That's definitely what happened last time. But we find ourselves in the Summer Tower. I incorrectly called it the Fall Tower at the end of the last video. And, well, we have a brand new mechanism to figure out in order to operate the elevator. Can't have any uniformity anywhere on this fucking ship. But we have 7 different floors to deal with, and we have 3 different switches to manipulate to get to the different floors. Now, you can experiment around and figure out where you, or what these switches do, but for right now, I don't know, let's go ahead and flip all the switches up. It seems that switching all of the levers upwards puts us on the 7th floor. I assume some combination of these switches will get us to the other floors, but well, since we are on the top floor, we might as well go ahead and explore around just a little bit. This is all going to be brand new territory. And the good news is that the 7th floor isn't really that large. It's pretty much a single hallway leading down into, well, a familiar room. But before we get in there, we do have to unlock the door. And the good news is we are given the code. It's off to the left there, 2531, but the problem is we have 4 different sets of 3 levers to manipulate, and they follow roughly the same pattern as the elevator does, so if you experimented a bit with getting to the different floors, you do have the solution here. Basically, the far right is 1, the middle is 2, and the far left lever is 4. So, yeah, that probably made sense to someone, but, you know, experimenting, trial and error will help you figure this out. We got everything situated now, just double checking mentally, I think. Oh no, it's Ronnie. We're in Ronnie's room. You can differentiate that by the carpeting, I suppose. And something that struck me is it seems like every corpse we've come across has had its head bitten off for some inexplicable reason. I don't know if it was just difficult to properly, draw and show faces, but we do want to check out that body, even though it might be a little bit difficult to navigate our way over there. But yeah, we never really did get to see Ronnie's face. So it's a bit of a shame, because if we investigate his body, the first thing that really draws Laura's attention is this face accoutrement in the form of these kickin' rad shades. Now, what about these shades draws Laura's attention so much? Well, it's obviously going to be something for a puzzle. Or maybe she just finds him as awesome as I do. Sure. But we might as well look around a bit more. There are a few more points of interest in Ronnie's room here, such as that big mechanism over in the corner here. Now, we can investigate it, but we seem to be missing something to turn it on, and, well, if you did scan through the computer database before, you'd find out that this, I think, is called a life scanner. Some kind of MRI machine, I suppose. I'm not sure what it was doing in Ronnie's room, but I don't know. Maybe he secretly had cancer. But there is this calendar. Seems to be something to investigate. And I think the glasses in the picture is supposed to be a hint as to what you're supposed to do here, but yeah, if we put on Ronnie's shades, we'll give a special infrared vision to see faces? Alright, well, we have a set of 3 faces on a calendar that you can only see with sunglasses. I guess that's a good security system. I mean, it makes about as much sense as anything else on this ship, but yeah, we are going to have to use that. I mean, there is one last thing to investigate, and that's going to be Ronnie's computer over here. And, well, you can probably guess that it has the level of intricate security that George's computer has. Yeah, we have to enter in that set of 3 faces. As to why Ronnie needed to draw them on a calendar in iridescent invisible ink, well, I don't really know, but we get a nice present in the form of a notepad document about the ship we're on. And if we look at the document, it gives us a little bit about, I guess, the intended purpose for this journey. Most namely, it seems that the ship was on its way to the planet Exegil to capture a quote-unquote enemy and to transport it back to Earth. It seems, though, that if the enemy happens to get out, the highest priority is keeping it safe and fuck the crew. So, clearly that drives Laura insane. Yeah, the death of Kimberly hit her a little bit less hard than finding out, I guess, the company that funded this trip cares less about people and more about invisible aliens for some reason. I don't know. This goes along with the whole ripping off aliens plot, but, you know, it does give us a little bit of backstory considering we currently have 0. So I do apologize, for some reason the game started to hiccup a little bit, but, well, before we leave Ronnie's room, we do have access to a computer here, and that should allow us to see a few maps of the 7 floors for this tower. So we're going to go ahead and pop into information. And the good news is that even though it does say that there are 7 floors, we won't really have to be going through each one of them. And as we already could tell, some of the floors are really, really simplistic. It's kind of a waste of everything, honestly. But let's see. Oh. Yeah, level 5 is where David and George are probably at. And levels 4 and 3 are completely and utterly pointless. Along with, I think floor 2, no reason to ever go there. So, pretty much, we only have to go to, I don't know, probably 4 out of these 7. And we've already explored, one of those 4. But, I mean, at least that's for the best. We probably can't get too lost considering how many of those floors were just single hallways. And also, just out of curiosity's sake, I decided to check out and see if we can't see a picture of Ronnie, since the game decided to never show us his face otherwise, and I don't think he showed up in any of the other D games. Especially not D2, I don't recall him being in that. Sad thing is that Ronnie's picture does not show him with the kickin' shades, though it does reveal that apparently he was the captain of the ship, which I guess was why he was probably the most helpful person so far. Still feel kind of bad that he died, but like, seems to be the way it goes in these sci-fi horror classics. But yeah, I guess our next destination is going to be down on the 5th floor. Maybe we can finally meet up with the last 2 surviving crew members and figure out some plan to get off the ship, or maybe to deal with all these invisible aliens that I don't actually know for certain right now why they decided to pick up the ferocious, invisible killing aliens, but well, if it's anything to do with the plot of Aliens, it's more than likely some evil corporation thought, hey, these would make a prime weapon to use and not kill ourselves with, because... But yeah, we already know the combination to get down to the 5th floor. And for the most part, for probably, I don't know, we'll probably see like one last elevator ride, but these never change, they never get additional animations. They might be loading screens, but it ends up being about 20 to 30 seconds a piece of just watching Laura stand idly by in an elevator. But now that we're on the 5th floor, I want to see my lover, David, so much, so I'm just going to rush right over there. I'm sure he will greet me with open arms and snuggles. Or the door will be locked. Why is the door locked? Don't you love me anymore, David? Didn't those 2 phone conversations we had mean anything, or that one picture we took? Well, I guess if David doesn't want to talk to us, maybe George will be a little bit more receptive, even though he has been actively turning down our phone calls for the entire game. Also, you should drop any preconceptions you have of what George here might look like, because he doesn't really look like what I expected.
Laura, I was worried about you. You look a bit dazed. Did you bump your head? The others? Well, we still haven't re-established communication, but there are more fatalities. Laura, just think of your own safety, and you'll be fine. It's not a good idea to venture out, but I am programming a key disk for the Fall Tower access. Wait for me a bit. Listen, those enemy monsters are vicious. Don't even think about trying to fight with them.
That's very helpful, George. I'm glad you were here at the start of the game. Yeah, it seems like George is cooking up some type of a plan, even though he isn't very descriptive about it, and he gives us some important life lessons about not dealing with these unavoidable monster attacks, so... yeah, at least he does have a charge station in here, so we can make sure to recharge Kimberly's gun. Now, as opposed to why we just keep on dumping one gun for another, as opposed to maybe dual-wielding them to have some extra ammo, I'd say limited inventory space, but we're still carrying around 2 severed fingers and a pair of sunglasses. But yeah, now that we have talked to George, that means that we can now talk to David, and I know it doesn't make sense, but it's weird event triggers and things like that. This disc is honestly full of them.
Laura. Your hair got mussed. There's a small ship docked at Fall Tower. We'll escape on that. Was George in his room? I hate to, but we should run this by him as well. I'll go and check on him. Oh, you need to know. There's a vital concern in regards to escaping from here. It's about you and me. I'll tell you when I get back. It's okay.
Well, that was certainly the most romantic and emotional scene I've ever seen in a video game, ever. I mean, we have such a strong connection to David, and we understand the deep love and bond that both these people share. I mean, you could see it when he pushed her away, and when he tapped on the side of his head, and the confused look she had on her face. I mean, hell, even the only thing to actually check out in David's room here is a single picture of Laura, his true love. I mean, obviously, they share a bond beyond all words or understanding or competency. So yeah, we finally get to meet Laura's boyfriend, and he seems to be doing relatively okay. Still, though, we can't just stay in here and wait for him to solve everything. We're a strong, independent woman, and we can stand on our own 2 feet because our boyfriend told us we could. So, we are, I guess, going to go overhear the conversation between David and George to see what the overall plan might be. See if we can't possibly help out a little bit. But for some reason or another, I mean, George is in here, but where's David? I don't know, maybe George will fill us in on where David went off to.
David. He's already completed his duties and left. Tell me, Laura, how do you feel? I mean about David. Everyone is saying that the special feelings you have for each other are... forget it. If we manage to survive, I'll get all the details.
What do you mean that David completed his duties and left? What does that mean?
Laura, when you have a problem, come directly to me first. There is only one person who understands you, and that is me.
Alright, then where did David go? Tell us that, George.
Laura, when you have a problem, come directly to me first. There is only one person who understands you, and that is me.
Alright, so George is going to be utterly no help other than being incredibly cryptic for some reason, but at this point you might go around searching to the different floors to try to find your boyfriend David, but I do happen to know where he is, even though he's gone there for no real explicable reason, and that's down to floor 0, or the basement. No, definitely George was acting a little bit off, especially when he was referring to the relationship between Laura and David. I don't know, maybe in the future everybody only has gay marriages, and having a straight hetero relationship is only allowed in the deep vacuum of space, or between minorities like Kimberly and Parker. It's hard to say. The bizarre world of the future that is Enemy Zero is not really fleshed out too much, so I don't know, could be anybody's guess right now. But as we are on floor 0, or the basement, it's a good idea to go ahead and save, because this is going to be our first real enemy encounters for this disc. And it's going to mirror in a lot of ways the basement that we had to deal with back in the Winter Tower. Lots of big wide open spaces, lots of beeping and booping, and plenty of close calls and opportunities to get killed. That is, if you decide to go exploring around too bit. The thing is that this basement area is... well, it's actually a lot safer just to take a more straightforward route down the center, as long as you take care of that one invisible alien enemy. That's pretty much all you have to deal with down here. Otherwise, you're going to have to deal with about 3 or 4 other enemies, but this doesn't look good. I mean, it's usually a sign that one of these enemies has plowed through the door. But that shouldn't stop us from looking around just a little bit. I mean, we do find a gun charger down here, but I'll wait a little bit on that. More importantly, we find a somewhat helpful clue here. Well, it'll be helpful later. I mean, for right now, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but well, they leave these things around for a reason, I'm sure, in the deep, dank basement. But yeah, I was trying just to walk forward, but for some reason, to walk forward, you have to go back to the weird center of the room. I don't know. Occasionally, navigating these sections is a bit odd. But as we head back to the back... Yeah, this is definitely not a good sign.
Laura, stop it. Please, don't cry. You must know by now how much I hate to see it rain. Don't you? It's all so strange. I'm a machine. I don't believe it. But why is it so painful for me to say goodbye to you? And I hate the rain. I drink vodka. I'm short-tempered. Always late. That person too is just a machine. Why is it, Laura, that I can't bear parting with you? I am in love with you. Why? How can it be? I wonder if Earth is sunny today.
So yeah, you guys remember that whole subplot about questioning whether or not robots have souls and whether or not it's justifiable for man to tamper in God's domain and make false life? And no, this was never brought up. Why? Why does it matter? I mean, yeah, I guess it's a bit surprising that David's a robot, but we never met him before, so it's not really that much of a swerve. We met him for all of 2 seconds, but... Well, I mean, since his brain is open, we might as well poke around in there. He was our boyfriend, I guess. I guess this is just gonna be a little keepsake of our robot boyfriend, who I guess didn't know he was a robot. Also, why would you fill your robot with blood? Just fill him with not blood. Fill him with a hard metal shell that wouldn't be ripped apart by evil aliens. Really, there's just an endless amount of questions that just goes back to, well, it was in Aliens, and you know, we need to make it more meaningful and significant, so have him discuss, you know, how can I be a robot and have human emotions? I love you, Laura. I think I love you. I am a robot. How can I love? Question mark. Yeah. Like so many things in this game, it comes across as very last minute shoved in and completely inconsequential to the plot overall. That's okay. We don't really need to worry about it too much. We just need to head on back up to the 5th floor and tell George about our amazing discovery about our robot boyfriend. I'm just gonna go ahead and skip the backtracking because nothing happens in the basement and nothing happens in the elevator except about 2 wasted minutes. I'm sure George will be pretty excited to know about our discovery. That is, if he was here at all. I don't know, maybe he's working on his escape plan somewhere. But since he's not here, we might as well go ahead and check out his computer. I don't think this one has the same intricate security as the other one with its don't touch Microsoft Sam voice. But in case you didn't get that thing out of David's head before, that's what you need to do, so be ready to backtrack, but we did make sure to pick it up, whatever it is. And inside we find David Bernard? Why would you give your robot a last name? I don't know. Why did they misspell it David? I'm nitpicking, but yeah, the David was Bishop. He was working for the company to monitor the bioweapon, and I guess he fell in love with a crew member.
What did you see? The file on David? I don't know anything. I'm only... Look, don't you know it was rude looking into someone else's things without permission? I have no obligation to explain anything to you at all.
That was a pretty callous response considering that Laura just had a alien tentacle shoved in her mouth. And oh yeah, the invisible aliens also have tentacles when they're not instantly killing Laura. I guess. I don't... Yeah. I will say it's at least interesting that they went with the, Oh, what do we have here? Looks like either the alien or George might have dropped a key to something. But yeah, I will at least say it's a nice touch that George was carrying George's gun that we had before, though I don't actually know how he might have gotten it back. But now that we have what I assume to be some alien thing inside of us, well, there was that body scanner up in Ronnie's room, and I get a strong feeling that's what this key is for, so I guess that's where we are going to be heading next. Yeah, that was a really, well, I guess it would be a normal response for Enemy Zero, but it seemed like a really awkward response from George. I mean, seriously, he was blaming us for being rude? I don't, let's go ahead and, I guess, check and see what's going on inside of us. I don't think that a alien tentacle inside our body is going to be that healthy. bad news. You're a snatcher. And there's a big cannoli on the side of your neck. You have cannoli cancer.
Not good. Not good at all. Even if I return to the company, there's no promotion with a mess like this. You see, the whole reason we went to that star was to capture the monsters, the enemy, and bring them back to Earth. To sell them to the military as biological weapons at a big profit. I was actually against the idea. No good can come out of getting involved in something like that. So, tell me, what does it feel like, to find out that you are not human? Yes, Laura, you and David are androids. The company put you on this ship to assist us as well as monitor our progress. I implanted your memory chip with a variety of recollections and facts. The color of the sky, the name of the birds, the price of a subway ticket, how to calculate the area of a triangle, fond childhood memories of your mother and your father, even about the unforgettable time in your hometown when you stretched out your arms to hug that oak tree. All of it, everything I gave to you. I implanted these different memories so that you would be more human-like. And in the end, your real memory, the fact that you are an android, was erased. Not good. Not good at all. Even if the company found out, you found out, my career is over. I have to reprogram your memory again. Don't move. Stay still. Hey, wait.
Man, that's a lot to take in. No, we don't have a mother, we don't have a father. And that amazing time that we hugged that oak tree was all just a lie. Well, I guess, I don't know, the only place we can really turn to now is maybe heading back to David's room. I don't think our love was made up, was it?
Laura, it's okay. Come on over here. There's nothing to worry about. Everything will be fine. I'm just going to restore you to your former human self. Don't you get it? If you stay like this, you'll be living the rest of your life as an android. Come on. I'll also remove your painful memories of David. Well, come on.
So yeah, we've gotten pretty much the gist of the plot in about 10 minutes. Laura and David were both cyborgs, brought on board by the evil company to supervise the transport of highly dangerous, invisible biological weapons for profit and success. And for some reason, the good Dr. George here decided, you know what would be fucking hilarious? If we made them even more human than they already look. So, yeah, this guy's just a dick. I mean, at least he's a helpful dick, though. Because when he wasn't programming human emotions into robots and, making them bang for his sick pleasure, he did manage to make this floppy disk here. It may not seem immediately evident, but you do want to check his body a second time. Yeah, the sound of a plane landing was actually in the game, along with the eagles crowing. But yeah, George had a seemingly random slip of paper with some numbers waiting in his pocket. And that's a semi-important clue for something we need to solve, but yeah, I could have sworn on the paper it said 45, but whatever. But yeah, I guess we have to solve some math? Maybe? I don't know. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but yeah, that yellow disc we got was for accessing the, I think the elevator into the Fall Tower. The only thing is that for some reason or another, the power to the elevator in the Fall Tower is currently down, but we do know that on the 6th floor there is a power room waiting for us that we haven't visited yet, so I guess that is going to be our second to last destination in the Summer Tower here. And I will say that this floor is thankfully not too difficult to navigate. You do have to be careful though, as I think there are 2 invisible enemies on this floor. It's pretty easy to evade them as long as you know exactly where to go, and well, hopefully you did make sure to look at the available maps because they are a godsend whenever they're given to you. But yeah, it seriously leaves me to question, what was George really thinking? I mean, it doesn't seem like he was experimenting in whether or not robots could feel. He just, I don't know, for some random reason he just felt inclined to do that. God, I'm just totally astounded by the thought process here, but you're finally now in the power room. And it's a brand new puzzle. And it's one that had me a bit stumped, mostly because I had initially overlooked that other clue that was waiting in George's back pocket. Now, the thing is, back down in the basement, we did get a weird graph of 4 circles, each with a line pointing a different direction, and that's how we are going to need to line up these 4 dials over to the left here. But to do that, we have to enter in 3-digit numbers, and well, I initially assumed that the 4 numbers that we got out of George's pocket on that piece of paper must be the solution, but it's not that simple, actually. We got 3 out of the 4 right, but for some reason that second dial is still incorrect. So this is where, I don't know. I'm sure there's some more specific math to it, something that makes sense to somebody, but yeah, the second digit you need to enter in is 270, which is, well, 180 plus 90. I mean, you could probably figure it out by a bit of trial and error, considering, you know, you're pretty limited to what numbers you can really enter in. Still, though, I don't know, maybe somebody in the thread can probably explain my stupidity here, but I don't understand where 270 came from. But there we go, we've now powered up the elevator to get to the Fall Tower, where supposedly David had left us an escape vessel that sadly we're not going to be able to take together. So I'm just going to make another quick jump cut to circumvent some incredibly exciting elevator travels to go back down to the 1st floor. Well, I think it's safe to say that the Summer Tower was honestly just as confusing as the Winter Tower. I guess it was good to meet a few more characters, even though in the end it made us realize that we're blood-filled, emotional cyborgs. But at least we don't have to solve any puzzles in this elevator, so, you know, should be pretty clear sailing from here on out. Oh yeah, I totally forgot that Laura had been face-fucked by one of the aliens, and now has what I assume to be one of their seeds spawning inside of her neck, so... Well, that's a good time to enter in the final disc, and I think this is probably a good place to call this an update, so hopefully you will join me next time, as I think we'll be finishing up Enemy Zero and seeing what becomes of poor Laura in the Fall Tower. So hopefully you will join me then. Also, yeah, I'm not exactly sure why, but for some reason disc 3 starts about 15 seconds back. But yeah, hopefully you will join me next time. We're going to have a long trek through the Fall Tower, and I'll see you then.